Ah, hello and welcome to episode 16. It's the 11th of May today, and it's going to be a really nice day out there later on once that fog clears. Last week, got quite a bit of painting done, which was really great. The weather last week was a little bit changeable. It started pouring down with rain on a Saturday. Sunday was a nice day. Monday was a bit grim, but it was a bank holiday. So, but nonetheless, ploughed through quite a bit of painting. I wasn't very happy with the cab. I sprayed the ceiling using this satin black that I'd got for it, which I assumed was the right stuff. And the ceiling looks absolutely terrible. I believe it was done in a much more dead matte, and the dead matte tends to hide everything. But once you're using something that's got a bit of a gloss on it, you can actually see everything. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to do a lot more rubbing down in there if I'm going to get it right. But I'll probably use the satin matte just to see what work I need to do. And then my final coat will be a more dead matte for the ceiling, which I think is the correct one. Fingers and toes crossed. Today I will do the cab door. I'll put that back together again because all of that stuff is now done. I'm going to have a sort through all the work that I did last week. Some of it will need a second coat. I'd already intended that anyway because you just won't be able to put two coats on because they would have been wet. So second coats are going to go on those bits and pieces. And this weekend, hopefully, I'll start having a look at what I'm going to do with the wiring inside the bus. But I do need to clear that bench off over the other side, all the stuff that I put on there last week for drying purposes. In fact, I ran out of space in here for things to dry. But anyway, it's one of the joys of doing this, I suppose. It's pleased that I managed to get through so much. I've got a small pile of stuff still over the other side there, which I need to attend to. And I've got a few bits and pieces which invariably got missed last week. The back of the compass panel that runs around the corner, I'd sprayed it green on the front, but unfortunately the interior wasn't ready because there are one skin on an RT. It must have been terribly cold in the winter, but it's just one single skin of aluminium. So the inside should be the chocolate brown, which you saw me using, and the outside is green. But anyway, I've got my apples. I'm going to put the kettle on and I'm going to be ready to get started. So let's see how we get on with this weekend. So thanks very much and enjoy.
Right, well, let's jump into it. Firstly, my apologies for episode 15. I think Facebook probably deemed it too boring for Facebook, but I managed to get it onto YouTube. I'm putting these ones on YouTube too as well, just as a sort of backup, just in case anything happens to the Facebook one. Once again, I'll say the point that really it's just for documenting the progress on the RT. For anybody who's not done an RT, they are incredibly slow. The amount of work that needs to be done is really quite phenomenal. So speaking of one of those projects, here is the cab door. I only wish I could wave a magic wand and all will be done. This door, it looks simple. It is pretty simple, but it took me a day to put this thing back together again. Luckily, you're not going to watch a day's full of footage of me putting screws and putting glass back in this door. And I've managed to speed it up, I think, at about times 800 or whatever it says on this thing. So anyway, this is the cab door. I stripped it down about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I painted the other side of it nice and green. That has hardened off now, and this side I've done the edges there, as you can see. I've sprayed them black already. Unfortunately, when I took the masking tape off, I actually took some of the paint with it. They are a bit fragile, sadly, but I did touch it up on Sunday, and when I went home it looked fairly good. So the other thing I need to tackle is the cab. Last weekend, having prepped the cab, I got the spray gun out, clambered into the cab and started to spray it. What you'll notice is there's no space in the cab. It is a really difficult environment to work in. And you'll see this in a minute when I get the orbital sander out and start having to sand the thing back down again. You'll see how limited space there actually is. And using the window ledge, the steering wheel to sit upon, it is really a horrid job. Anyway, having sprayed it last week, I'd used a satin paint, which is what's used in the interior of Routemasters, because London Transport tended to use the same things, so the same colours, the same sort of styles of paint and what have you. Unfortunately, clearly with the RT, they used a more matte paint, and having sprayed it with satin, it showed up all of the mess. I mean, really bad. All the dents in the ceiling. It looks like someone's been hammering at the ceiling with a T-key. Anyway, I had an online chat with Tim Barrington and sending pictures across and what have you to each other. In the end, I think we both deduced or whatever, that the ceiling on an RT was painted with a dead or fairly semi-matte. Semi-matte hides everything. You really could be completely atrocious, the ceiling, but semi-matte, you don't see it. Spray it gloss and you will see everything, and it's a lot of work to put that right. So I'm going to have to rub the ceiling down again. Before I do it, I need to put some filler in just to get rid of the worst bits of where someone's been hammering on the ceiling. Oh well, the fog's starting to lift. It looks like it's going to be a nice day out there. Let's have a look at the cab door, and hopefully a lot of this will be in very fast forward, because it took a whole day and you don't want to watch a whole day of footage on this, do you? You've got better things to do. So anyway, let's kick off with this door. What was it doing outside? Well, I'll tell you what it was doing outside as soon as you asked the question. No, you didn't really. Because it was a nice warm sunny day. I sprayed this last week, so I was fairly happy with it. There's a few little bits I'm probably going to need to do again on it. It's going to get flattened down again next weekend, I'll tell you that now. But anyway, reasonably happy with it. You can see me here, I'm checking the thing over. Yeah, there was a bit of dust that settled on it from outside, but the warm weather, because the sun was starting to peek through the fog, it's actually warmed up quite nicely. So, as you can see, wrapped up like a big Christmas present. The purpose of this was that when I'm spraying the green, I didn't want the green spray to land on the black that I put on there. As you can see, neatly speeded up. The black was done in 2 stages, so you can see there's also masking tape just down the bottom and masking paper. Off it comes. That little arm that you see sticking out there, that's the actuator arm for the glass. So when the driver pushes down on the handle that's in the cab, the glass rises or falls. Unfortunately, as is with this thing, the handle was really stiff, so I ended up having to pop some oil in there. I didn't want to put oil in there before I painted it, because it could cause sort of problems with the paint. Although issues with the paint with that tape, because it had been on there for about 3 weeks, it actually started to pull the paint off that I put there before. So what I need to do now is to slow the thing down again. Right, what I need to do now is to find all the bits and pieces that I took off last week and start to reinstate them. This is the first bit that needs to go in. This is plate glass, and it really gets tight at about this point here, and I'm thinking, don't break, oh, it's gone, there you go, hasn't broke, obviously, it's fallen into place. Perfect. I had cleaned it as well. You will also notice just at the bottom of the glass there, I've put the word down. And I'm doing that a lot now. I'm putting bits of beading. It says up, down, left, right, because sometimes these things are, handed. So you put them in, you think you got it in the right place, and it turns out, having put the whole thing back together again, that the glass is upside down around the wrong way or something like that. But anyway, this glass is quite easy. This little bit of device there, that sits at the bottom of the glass, and I was trying to work out, how do I put this rubber in and then fit it onto the glass? So the first thing I did was try to put it into that didn't work. Now I think, right, I'll try and make it a bit straighter, and then no, got to get a tape out. get the masking tape out and then stick it onto the glass, and then try to put that little bracket thing that you saw me put in just at the bottom there back on. Now, I was about to discover there was an easier way of doing it. There's always an easier way of doing it, isn't there? So anyway, yeah, this is boring, isn't it? But anyway, here I am trying to work out how am I going to get that actuator on that arm back onto that that sort of rubber gasket. Other gaskets are available apparently from Baines. If you want any rubber, go to Baines. They do all that stuff. So anyway, that's not going to work, by the way. I give it a try. Block of wood at the end of the plate glass. Tap, tap, tap. Doesn't work. God, what am I going to do? Find another bit of wood. Try and jam that in there. What was happening is that actuator piece there, every time I hit one side, it then moved down the other. It was a bit like a comedy, frankly, on Carry On films. So anyway, no, that's not working, and I'm also very worried about fracturing that glass, because then we really are done for. Although I do have a spare glass around the back of the shed, but I don't want to lose that one, having done so much work thus far. Anyway, by fortune, I discovered, no, it's not going to work. I discovered to use the top of the frame. So having sort of cut all that stuff off because I wasn't happy with it, when I pushed it up to the top of the frame, it came out the runner, and I was then able to get the whole thing back together again. See that? Look, there you go. Bang, 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 bang. And it worked. What a surprise. So yeah, so that's done. All I've got to do is pick all that masking tape off. So anyway, there's their little job. I don't know how many people have actually bothered to strip down cab doors. It's probably an unnecessary task, to be honest with you. Oh gosh, you won't believe how long this took me. Yeah, look, I'm trying it out. It's so stiff. So I'm going to need to get some oil. Where's the oil? I think the oil's on that rack just round to the left of shot. So yeah, what oil should I use? WD-40 or just some chain oil? So I decided to use that chain oil stuff, and it has actually improved it a bit, so you can operate it better. There you go. Look. So how's that? So there's that done. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll play some music so you can put up some music, and then I'll come back with some dialogue in a second. enjoy that now. Anyway, never mind. As you can see, actually a little comment there, I could have done with a new pair of gloves, but I get so carried away. I got a load of them in the barn, but I got so carried away doing that. As you can see, it's pretty much back together again. The mechanism's in, the 2 glass panels are in there, the top one's in, and those edge pieces are in. I sprayed all them up last week over the bank holiday weekend, so they were done. And then that little bar just at the top there. Now we're going to put this panel back together again. You can see my hand just moved that little part at the bottom there. That's a rubber flap. I don't know whether it was to sort of help oil in the mechanism inside, or whether it was to remove litter that might have fallen down inside there. God only knows what it was. But once I've finished this, I'm going to remove the masking tape from that, and then I'll paint that with some tyre black or something to make it look nice and tidy. I've still got the handles to put back on the door, and I didn't manage to get them back in on Sunday when I was doing this. As I say, this took an entire day, so there's quite a lot of work in there. You may also notice that the black has been touched in with a brush. I do use a paintbrush occasionally. I do a lot of spraying as well. I prefer spraying to using the brush because you tend to get a better finish. The problem with the spray is that it takes so long to actually set the thing up, get the fan right, mixing your paint, and then once you're finished, clean the gun out. So I tend to, little bits. I've got some spray cans shown here, which I'll use for little bits and pieces, so it saves getting the gun out. Anyway, so here we are, almost finished with this door. All I've got to do now is put the handles back. I'm now putting the draft screen back on the side, which you've got as a little rubber flap. I ordered some up online and managed to get some because it was missing, and I've done that. So that's all pretty much done. So next weekend I shall pop up and I'll finish the last bits on there, and then I'll wrap it. There it is, all finished, almost. So anyway, here I am back in the cab. I don't enjoy this. It's a horrible job, but someone has to do it. So anyway, any volunteers, you're more than welcome. Oh, I was joking with that point, by the way. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. As they say in the film industry, it's a wrap. It's a really nice day outside, a beautiful day outside it turned out to be. So, but it's not a bank holiday. We got a bank holiday at the end of this month. There's another 3 days up the barn. I had some stuff delivered at work this week. I've got some conduit that has arrived for the cab because I had a bit missing. It had rotted out completely. So I've had to order 3 meters of conduit for about 12 inches of pipe. But never mind, I've ordered that up and got that done. Hopefully, fingers and toes crossed, I will get this cab completed, or at least the black completed, and I've got the brown to do at the bottom. Once I've got this black done and I'm happy with it, I'm then going to do the wiring, and then I'm going to do the browns, because obviously the brown is likely to get damaged with me clambering around in the cab there. So that's the plan. I'm going to do 2 things with this. I'm going to spray the bit that's at the back of the driver's head, and then that frame. I'm going to use the spray gun for that. I have already decided to remove that masking paper at the back, because that gives me a much better natural ambient light in there. I was floodlighting this with 3 floodlights and it was still pitch black in the cab. So taking that down is going to help, but I'm going to have to mask all that paint I did the other day. Otherwise I'm going to get black paint over everything. So that's the plan of action for this coming weekend. More exciting stuff. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thankfully I can do an entire weekend's work on fast forward. I wish I could do that in real life. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to doing next week's one.